Cathay Pacific Airways, we always put safety as our top priority, and it is clearly stated in our commitment. Within the process of cargo handling, proper preparation of load is one of the most important elements contributes to ground and aircraft safety. The aim of this video is to draw the frontline staff's attention on subject matter and deliver the safety message in an easy, acceptable way. Please enjoy the video.
Before preparing for the load or building up cargo, the first thing to do is to assure the serviceability of the ULD, Unit Load Device. Let's start with the pilots. To determine whether a pilot is serviceable or not, we have to consider the following points. No cracked-edged rails, missing or broken corners and rivets, no punctures, cracks and holes on the base of the pilots. Pilot sedges should not be bowed up to exceeding 2 inches when empty, or 1.5 inches when loaded with cargo. For pilot nets, there should not be more than 3 broken cords within one net panel, or more than 6 broken cords for the whole net. No damage or missing of lashing cords. No damage or missing of any attachment fittings, such as hooks and tie-down rings. For structural containers and igloos, same requirements as pilots on their base and door net attachment fittings. For each metal panel or door, not more than 2 punctures which exceed 1 inch in diameter or 4 inches in length, with a 12 inches distance from each other, can be accepted. Structural framework should be free from cracks and permanent distortion, missing or loosening rivets and screws. Structural ULD with metal doors, such as containers or igloos. Ensure all locks are serviceable and doors could be closed and secured firmly. For details of the serviceability of ULDs, please kindly refer to the ULD serviceability limits in the Cargo Services Manual or CX Aircraft Handling Manual. When you discover a damaged ULD, no matter during breakdown process or before build-up, make sure to put a damage label onto the ULD concerned. Report to your supervisor and inform CX Head Office ULD Control, HKG KJCX, for follow-up. When it is necessary to use the damaged ULD for cargo loading due to operational requirements, authorized equipment like the CX green ropes should be used to fix the broken net cords, to replace the lashing cords, as well as to attach additional rings to replace the missing or damaged ones. When the other 2 kinds of authorized ropes, the Eric ropes and the Hector white ropes, are in use, a double quantity must supplied as their restraint power are only half of that of the 6 green rope. No exception will be granted for any structural damages. Downline stations and HKG KJCX must be informed for temporary measurement applied. After looking at the serviceability of ULD, let's go to the loading principles of cargo. First of all, always load the soft and light cargo at the top, while the rigid and heavy cargo at the bottom. Ensure that the packaging of the cargo at the bottom is strong enough to support those at the top. A correct way of loading will prevent damage to cargo at the bottom layer. And most important of all, to avoid collapse of cargo during the course of transportation, either on ground or on air. Also, we have to distribute the cargo weight evenly onto the pilot. To avoid of collapsing, interlock loading pattern is recommended to be used throughout the build-up process. Observe the contour and make sure that it fits for the designated aircraft compartment. For pilot loading, we must apply PVC sheets to prevent cargo from wet damage. It also serves the purpose to prevent leakage and spillage from the wet cargo. Spreading a PVC sheet on the pilot floor and top up with cargo. Then wrap up the edges. Ensure the edges to be fixed in position, either by using adhesive tapes or by using pieces of cargo to sit on top of it. After the loading has been completed, put a PVC sheet on top and wrap the edges downward. Fix it in positions. To ensure that cargo loaded on the pilot could resist the shocks incurred during transport, proper restraints must be applied. Pilot net is one of the tools to provide sufficient restraints to cargo. After putting the net on top of the pilot, spread the 4 net panels evenly over the 4 sides. Ensure all tie-down rings and hooks are fixed. Fasten the lashing cords through every net mesh along the edges of the net panels. Other than general cargo, special cargo is another issue that we need to take additional attention. When handling heavy cargo, do not exceed the maximum loading limitations, and by using sufficient restraints are the keys. The pilot or the base of all ULD are considered as the extension of the aircraft floor. When loading with heavy cargo, that is, one single piece exceeding 150 kilo, please ensure that there is sufficient floor contact to avoid exceeding the maximum floor loading limitation and the maximum running load limitation of the aircraft. Other cargo can be loaded on top of the heavy cargo, provided that it does not exceed the loading limitations. By putting spreader boards under the heavy cargo, we could distribute the weight evenly onto the pilot's surface to avoid exceeding the aforesaid limitations. Since the loading limitations may vary from different aircraft types, for detailed calculation on the number of spreader boards needed, please refer to the relevant sections of the 6 aircraft handling manuals. Besides the loading limitations, restraint is another important factor to be considered. It can be achieved by filling the ULD volumetrically or by tie-down. Additional tie-down must be applied for the loading of heavy cargo under the following circumstances. When the ULD is filled by less than 75% of cargo in volume. When the heavy cargo exceeds 250 kilo per piece. When the heavy cargo is loaded on spreader boards. When its shape or density may cause damage to the structure of the aircraft compartment or ULD, like long metal framework. Because of the limitations of the size and shape, containers are not suitable to load heavy cargo. When heavy cargo has to be loaded into the container, additional rules has to be followed. No heavy cargo exceeding 800 kilo per piece is allowed. To maintain the balance of the container, the size of the heavy cargo must not exceed the floor dimensions and must not rest on the sloping side of the containers. In addition, cargo exceeding 50 kilo in weight must not rest on sloping side of the containers. Heavy cargo loaded on pilots are normally restrained by the pilot net and with additional tie-down if necessary. Tie-down fittings like rings and straps may be placed the net only under following circumstances. Using the net may damage the cargo, like loading of an aircraft engine. Overhang loading, which the net could not provide sufficient restraint. For example, the overhang cargo exceeds the net size. When tie-down straps are in use, following rules must be followed. The angle between the tie-down strap and the cargo from their contact point should not be exceeded by 30 degrees. One ring may only hold one strap in one direction, and at maximum 3 straps in 3 directions. The distance between the rings in the same direction must not be less than 20 inches. Security ropes must be used to uphold the forward and rearward of the tie-down straps at the proper positions. For calculating the number of tie-down fittings, rings, straps and ropes needed, kindly refer to the sections of the loading procedures of heavy cargo and restraint in the 6 aircraft handling manuals. When loading wet cargo on the ULDs, even in containers or igloos, PVC sheets must be used to prevent any possible leakage or spillage, which may have happened during transportation and eventually lead to corrosion to the aircraft structure. PVC sheet must be spread on the floor, and the edges of the PVC sheet must be wrapped upward and being attached to the inner panel of the container by adhesive tapes before the loading starts. After loading, wrap the remaining edge of the PVC sheet upward to attach to the cargo by adhesive tapes before closing the door. Same practice can be used to prevent general cargo from wet damage during rainy seasons. When loading dangerous goods, following rules have to be observed. Incompatible DG must be loaded separately with at least one piece of cargo in between. All DG must be loaded in an easy accessible and identical manner. It shall be loaded in the outer edges of the pilots or door side of structural containers with DG labels faced outward to allow handling staff or flight crew to identify and access easily. For CEO shipment, other than several exceptions stated in IATA DGR, it must be loaded on the 125 inches long side of an open pilot with its height not exceed 96 inches. DG must be fixed in loading position according to the upright label affixed. Tie-down ropes or straps may be required according to the shape of the DG or volume of the ULD. The loading requirement of DG can be found in the IATA Dangerous Goods Regulations and 6 aircraft handling manuals. Also, please make use of the pocket-sized ULD preparation checklist for easy reference. For other special cargo, please refer to 6 Cargo Services Manual and 6 Aircraft Handling Manuals.
After watching this video, you should have a better idea of proper preparation of loads. If you have any query, please feel free to contact Cargo Services Head Office.